Welcome to the cabin. Soon it's time for the premiere of Dune Part 2. Finally. So for the occasion we decided to go back to the board game and paint some more miniatures. Let's get to it. Kala and I are big fans of Denis Villeneuve's first film, and a while back we painted the troops from the Dune Imperium board game here on the channel. We've received requests to also paint the Agent and Alliance tokens to complete the set, which is exactly what we're doing today. I opted for the same speed painting technique with contrast paints that I used previously. Thus, I once again prepared the miniatures with an undercoat of Chaos Black, followed by a zenithal highlight of Liquitex Titanium White, and a final dry brush of Prexedi White. Let's start with the Sardaukar Infantry, featured in both Agent and Alliance tokens. I applied Apothecary White across their uniforms. To brighten these and add a slightly different hue, I then dry brushed them with Ulthuan Grey. For the swords, helmets, and certain armor panels, I chose Runefang Steel. To darken these areas, I applied Basilicanum Grey, also using it on the belts, pouches, and some parts of the uniform. Wanting the swords to be darker, I painted them with Black Templar. I then dry brushed Runefang Steel on the helmets, leaving the visors grey. I selected Wazdaka Red for the symbols on the chest, as a normal acrylic allows for better control with tiny details like these. The rocks on the bases were painted with Garagax Sewer. And for the sand dunes, I used Skeleton Horde. Finally, the Imperial symbol on the base of the Alliance token was painted with Apothecary White. Next, it was time for the Fremen Agent tokens. I began by applying Space Wolves Grey on certain parts of their still suits to add some variety. The entire surface of the still suits was then covered with Rattling Grime. After that, I used Agara's Dunes for the headcloths. The crysknives were painted with Skeleton Horde, leaving the tip white and allowing the pigment to settle towards the back. I then did the same thing with Basilicanum Grey, but even further up the knives. The Alliance token featuring Stilgar was painted in the same way, but for his cloak I chose Gorgrunta Fur. And for his beard I used Basilicanum Grey. I switched to normal acrylics for the faces, starting with Bloodreaver Flesh as a base coat for the skin, and then a highlight with Night Quester Flesh. I used Macragge Blue on the eyes, and highlighted them with Hoeth Blue. Skeleton Horde was once again my choice for the sand, and then I applied Ultramarines Blue on the Fremen symbol on Stilgar's base. The next set of Agent tokens were the Bene Gesserit, and the artwork features a desaturated green color for their clothes. I started with the boots, using Cygor Brown to simulate dark leather. The rest of the base was painted with Basilicanum Grey. For the hair, I applied Black Templar. Then it was time for the fabrics, which I painted with Creed Camo. Switching to normal acrylics, I base coated the skin with Bugman's Glow. I then applied Reikland Flesh Shade in the recesses, and highlighted everything with Cadian Flesh Tone. The final Agent tokens were the Guild Bankers, depicted in the art wearing white robes. So I began with Apothecary White on all the fabrics. The bases were then painted with Space Wolves Grey. Just like the Bene Gesserit, I used Black Templar on the hair and this time on the boots as well. When painting the skin, I again grabbed some normal acrylics. This time I used Kislev Flesh, aiming for a paler flesh tone. After another recess shade with Reikland Flesh shade, I used Flayed One Flesh to highlight the faces. The highliner on the Spacing Guild Alliance token was simply painted with Space Wolves Grey, and I also used this color on the base, except for the symbol, which was painted with Blood Angels Red. The Bene Gesserit Alliance token features the Reverend Mother. I used Cygor Brown on her chair, followed by Black Templar on all the fabrics. For the box, I applied Coelia Green shade, and the Gomja bar needle was painted with Runefang steel. Both areas were shaded with Basilicanum Grey, which I also chose for the base. I painted her skin in the same way as the guild bankers and then applied Luxon Purple to the symbol on the base. Now all that was left was the Mentat token. I started with his boots and again used Cygor Brown. Then I painted Space Wolves Grey on his beard and hair as well as the base. For the cap, I chose Black Templar. And after that, I applied Militarum Green all over the uniform. I painted the skin just like the Bene Gesserit and then added Nazdrag Yellow to the symbol on the base. All the base rims were given a couple of coats of Abaddon Black, and then I used gold chrome metal from Green Stuff World on the victory point symbols. And with a 1-to-1 mix of matte and satin varnish, the set is finished. My original plan was to spend a bit more time on these larger miniatures and use normal acrylics on them, trying to make them look quite good. However, those expectations are probably part of the reason why I hadn't painted them until now. Sometimes I think it's good to just have fun with a project and not feel forced to always remove every mold line and paint to the very best of your abilities. What I have ended up with is a complete set of painted tokens ready to play with. And that's very satisfying, even if they are not the most advanced paint jobs. It's definitely a much more immersive experience to play with these as opposed to the wooden tokens that the base game comes with. In the end, I feel happy that everything is done, and I think the level of quality is good enough for playing the board game with friends. Also, this video scratched a bit of that Dune itch while waiting for Part 2 to hit the cinemas. Well, that's it for today. We can't wait to see the film, but in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Good luck with your miniatures.